The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is 13-year-old Madeline Soto, a young girl from Central Florida whose life was filled with abuse and ended with murder, all of which seemingly happened at home where she lived with her mother, who is facing no charges. Here's the story.
Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party was on Sunday, February 25th. The party was at a relative's house, and she was surrounded by family. But one person who wasn't there was her mother, Jenn Soto. She was working. Madeline's mother and father were not together, but there was a man living in her house. Her mom's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephen Stearns. At some point after her party and before she was supposed to be at school the next day, Madeline was murdered. Stearns was the last known person to be with her, and he is alleged to have hundreds of disturbing photos on his phone of Madeline being sexually abused. Stearns has been charged in two separate cases, first for the sexual abuse of Madeline depicted on his phone, and second for the murder of Madeline. Stearns is behind bars waiting for his trials, but what about Jenn Soto? What did she know? What didn't she know? What does her police interview after the arrest of Stearns reveal? These questions are crucial in the investigation into what happened to young Madeline.
From the beginning, everyone's been looking at and questioning Jenn Soto in this case. Now, she hasn't been charged. She hasn't been accused of anything. But she's Madeline's mother. She's the mom. Now, I got to set this up. Investigators went through Stephen Stearns' phone. Remember, this is a missing child first. It's a call for a missing child. The investigation begins. They get into Stearns' phone and they find these graphic images of sexual abuse of Madeline by Stearns. In the photos, they print one out, they show it to her. So now they're questioning her after she knows about these images. I want to show you part of that interview.
You guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room. But you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you established that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him sexually. Whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea. If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't. I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how that far back the cloud goes. I find it hard to believe for me that you were so worried about how many pills she took at night, but not where she slept or what relationship she was. His interest in her.
I thought we were all safe. I thought because that he hadn't shown me anything so far, like everything seems fine. Like he seemed like he treated her like
he treats you. In his mind.
It's so disgusting.
So now he's in jail because of what we found on his phone, not because somebody came forward and reported that he was abused.
No, I know.
She's not old enough to consent. She's not old enough to have a thought process to even want anything that was happening to her. It's abuse.
He acted so normal that day. He was like, I'm so impressed. We got out of the house so early. Like she made great time. We had so much time to go to McDonald's, but she didn't want to. His story was so fun. Like, every detail was so believable. been lying the whole time. Like,
What about that day in the car when you offered him a lawyer? Did he disclose anything to you there that made you feel like, oh, he needs a lawyer?
No. He kept acting like he didn't know what was happening. And I'm like, don't you see forensics? Don't you see they took your phone? Like, something's happening. Like, I think they're going to pin this on you. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, they have the wrong guy. Like, they're just honing in on the last person who saw her. But no, you guys knew more.
You never said, what did you do?
I've never asked him any of that. I still, even up until when we got here to the police station, I was convinced that he hadn't done anything to her at all.
Because of him or because of not wanting to believe she's deceased?
Because of him. Because I thought he was a good guy.
Do you swear that everything we talked about today in this interview is true, correct?
Yes.
Did you lie to me or the detective at any time?
No.
Okay. Do you currently know, or have you ever been aware of where the body has been since Monday?
No.
Did you have any? Were you aware at any time, whether it be the most recent instance or the first instance, victimization sexually by Stefan? Okay.
This is such an important part of what happened to Madeline, and trying to understand it and trying to understand who is responsible brings me to my first question. It's a big one. Did Jenn Soto know about the ongoing abuse? So many people saying, how could she not know? But did she know? Let me bring in my guest joining us tonight, host of the Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, Gisela K is with us. Great to see you. And did I say it right tonight?
You did.
I want to make sure I get it right, because, by the way, she's the one providing these videos for us tonight. Also with us, body language expert Michael McCutcheon. Great to have you both here. Gisela, isn't this the question everyone's been asking from the beginning? Did she know about, because this is over the course of years we're talking about.
I mean, I ask myself that question every day. Did she know? How could she not know? But it's so easy to say, well, this is how groomers and predators operate, because they do. They could literally operate right under your nose. But the difference here is that Jenn Soto literally sent her daughter upstairs with this 37-year-old man because she needed a good night of sleep. She also never asked questions like, why are you showing me these photos? My daughter's missing. Why is the sex crimes unit here? Like, what do you mean? So if she won't believe the police when they're literally showing her evidence, how would she have ever believed her daughter if she had tried to tell her? I just feel like she must have known something and turned a blind eye.
Michael McCutcheon, this has been such a difficult issue from the beginning of this case, of this investigation. What do you see in her body language when she's being, she's being pressed by the detective. What are you seeing?
She's being pressed pretty hard by the detectives, and I'm kind of on the fence because, like, the rational part of me, not looking at the video itself, saying, again, how could she not know? Like, of course she would know. How would you not know? But predators are very good at their jobs, which is to abuse people. Like, that's their whole job. And yes, I think she's negligent and not asking questions about what he's doing in some of the behaviors. But from the body language itself, I don't think she knew. She may have thought things were, I'll say, not normal, but I don't think she knew about the abuse. When they press her about some specific things, you can see where she's getting emotional, and then she kind of gets angry. Like, she sits up and she's like, I will do that. I'll take a lie detector. And that is a normal response from somebody who is being falsely accused. So from her initial responses, I got the feeling that she was telling the truth, and you have to put yourself in a situation where you've been with someone for 4, 5, 6 years, and your entire life has just crumbled. And how do you just simply believe, like, oh, okay, I was wrong about this person? Like, it's more than just looking from the outside. But I didn't get the feeling she was being dishonest.
Fascinating. I want to put up on the screen Orange County detectives, when they first told her, and it's detailed in the report the way they describe what happened. Orange County detectives had previously shown Jenn photographs of Stefan's penis for identification purposes. Jenn did not want to believe Madeline and Stefan were engaged in sexual activity. Jenn asked to see the image of Stefan and Madeline. I pulled out a printed picture from Stefan's Google Drive that showed Madeline with Stefan's penis in her mouth. Jenn said she didn't recognize anything in the picture, as if she was in denial. However, she became visibly upset. This is a huge moment. Gisela, this is what we were wondering about from the beginning. How does she react in the moment when she is confronted with irrefutable evidence, like actual images of this taking place? And I think for most folks, this is like the telling moment, how she reacts to this.
So a document is one thing. That's, I've been deep diving this case for some time, but the audio interviews, you can actually hear how she reacts. And she accepts it so quickly. She's either trying to find out who, and sorry for the language, I'm repeating what you said, whose penis it is, like who else in the house could this belong to? Or she just says, okay, well, that aside, now how does that connect to her being missing? Like, let's just accept that. I mean, it's so shocking to hear how quickly she can accept it, how quickly she tries to find someone else to blame. It's quite frightening how she stands up for Stefan Stearns throughout all the videos and audio interviews I've heard.
And that has a lot of folks upset. Okay, big thanks to Michael McCutcheon joining us tonight. Coming up next, did Jenn Soto care more about Stefan Stearns than she did about her own daughter, Madeline?
Until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy. You just said, I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say of his penis in her mouth, and your first reaction was, oh my, victimized? No. She's being abused? No. It's Stefan needs a lawyer.
Wow. At the moment she is being shown the evidence that her daughter's being abused by Stearns, her reaction is, Stearns needs a lawyer? Stearns needs a lawyer? A lot of, in this interview, it's all about how she's reacting to learning all of this stuff and what she's saying. I want you to watch more of this because, we were wondering what were the police interviews really like? Well, the police are not taking it easy on Jenn Soto at all. Let's watch.
Have you talked to Chris about Stefan needing a lawyer?
Yeah.
When?
I think when you guys showed me the photos.
So we showed you photos of Stefan raping. And
No.
the first thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer?
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening. And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's happening. But I kept thinking, they're going... I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person. But you weren't. You're not.
We showed you a picture thought she was giving a blowjob to a grown man and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you, but then you just thought she was missing. And we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. A blowjob is rape. Not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual. And you prioritized him again. You prioritized him by offering him or telling his dad to get him a lawyer. Not what did he do? Not, hey, we need to figure out what happened. No, let's protect Stefan.
I was in shock.
You didn't care. You didn't care then. Oh, whether sex isn't important to you, that wasn't anything close.
I knew what I saw was
He was
terrible.
a predator right then and there. That's the day you found out he was a predator.
Yeah.
Yes. And after you found out he was a predator, did you not say he needed a lawyer?
I did.
Let's get to the next question. This is maddening. This is absolutely maddening. Did Jenn Soto care more about Stefan Stearns than Madeline? More than her own daughter. What's going on? What's wrong here? Still with me, the host of Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, Gisela K. And joining me now, forensic neuropsychologist and associate professor at Pepperdine University, Dr. Judy Ho. Dr. Judy Ho, what is going on here? How is that the reaction? What does it mean? Does she care more about the predator than the victim, who's her own daughter?
It's a very good question, Vinny. And the police detective got it right when he asked her, that's your first reaction? Your first reaction is to make sure that your predator boyfriend has an attorney? That's your first visceral gut reaction as a mom when you see that your daughter is being sexually assaulted and abused by your so-called love? That was her first reaction. I saw that she tried to backtrack that and say, well, I just was in shock. But I have a hard time thinking that a mother who is in shock, that their first thought would be, let's make sure the predator has legal representation. I would imagine expletives, cursing, real shock where you literally have no words maybe. This is not something that I would expect. And Vinny, we've talked about the range of emotions that somebody can have when they're in the middle of a trauma, but this one feels far-fetched and like it doesn't make sense.
It's maddening. Gisela, people's heads are exploding right now at home watching this. I want to, when you go online with this and you're talking about this for hours and people are seeing this, I mean, everyone is got to just be up in arms and almost in disbelief that a mother could react this way to photographic digital evidence of her daughter being sexually abused by her boyfriend.
Absolutely. My whole community, as we go through this, is absolutely enraged, because if you even listen carefully how Jenn Soto speaks about her daughter, it's never in good light. There was one time, and I only know of the one because she says so many other bad things, that she said something nice, like, okay, she's got a beautiful voice. The rest is all, she's abnormal and, she's problematic and she's always late and forgets her phone and all the things she says. But she speaks so well of Stefan Stearns. And think about this, to the point where she refers to her daughter's body being stashed and dumped and all the words we would never say about victims. And then says, maybe he went back to check if he did a good job. That, to me, was like, my goodness, she prioritizes Stefan Stearns. No wonder she said, oh, he probably needs a lawyer. How much jail time will he do? I mean, he's definitely the priority above her own daughter.
How does that happen, Dr. Judy Ho? How on earth could that happen?
Well, there's different reasons for why somebody could become so dependent on their partner that they seemingly blinded to everything else, including the maternal love that biologically, most people feel, I say most because I know you've covered other cases where that might not be the situation, but in general, that biological maternal love, that's unbreakable for most people. And sometimes, though, the individual, because they've had a troubled past, perhaps they've had other abusive relationships, abuse and trauma in their childhood, that they end up being so bonded to whoever is their partner. It's like that is their entire life, and that's all that they can think about. And if that's the case here, then it would make sense why she's saying, well, let's get you an attorney so we can reduce your sentence and we can still have our happily ever after. I know it's twisted and sick, but some people do become so singularly focused on their partners that they might do something like this.
Gisela, we have about 15 seconds here or so. It seems at times she's almost detached from the reality of what this is all about.
It does seem so at times, but then she's got that script well prepared and she contradicts herself all the time. So sometimes thinking of her working as a concierge, front desk, I think she kind of plays that role a little bit of just being bewildered and detached. But I think she knows exactly what's going on, in my opinion.
Gisela Kay, Dr. Judy Ho, thank you. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, who was put alone in a room with an alleged child molester by her own mother. Prosecutors say that abuser also murdered Madeline. Now the question is, what did her mother know? Here's the story.
February 25th was Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party, celebrating a new phase in her life, becoming a teenager. There was a party. Her mom, Jenn Soto, couldn't make it, and after the party, her aunt dropped her at home where her mother's live-in, on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, was supposed to take care of her. The next day, Jenn and Stephen say Stephen gave Madeline a ride to school, but she never showed up. She was found 4 days later in some brush on the side of the road in St. Cloud, about 20 miles from their home in Kissimmee, Florida. Stearns was arrested after images of Madeline being sexually assaulted were allegedly found on his phone. And since then, he's been charged with her murder. Jenn Soto has not been charged or named as a suspect for anything, but Jenn did face intense questioning by investigators who were trying to understand what Jenn knew and what she didn't know about what was happening to her daughter, Madeline.
Such an important part of what happened to this 13-year-old girl is about what happened to her since she was 8 years old, like this history of documented, according to prosecutors, abuse. So when detectives find all this out, they bring in Jenn Soto, and it's time to question her. And again, they're going after her. They're trying to get to the truth. Let's watch.
You guys interviewed me, and when you guys showed me the picture of her, I believed the sexual stuff, but I didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like, no, what if he did this stuff fine, but what if she's still missing out there? What if somebody took her? I still wanted to believe I believed him. I believed his whole story. So I was just like, I kept repeating that part. I'm just like, what if she did get dropped off? What if she got abducted? What if she's missing? But that was me assuming that you guys had the wrong guy. I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't. I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how that far back the cloud goes. I find it hard to believe for me that you were so worried about how many pills she took at night, but not where she slept or what relationship she was. his interest in her.
I thought we were all safe. I thought because and that he hadn't shown me anything so far, like everything seems fine. Like he seemed like he treated her like
he treats you. In his mind. So now he's in jail because of what we found on his phone, not because somebody came forward and reported that he was abused.
No, I know.
She's not old enough to consent. She's not old enough to have a thought process to even want anything that was happening to her. It's abuse.
Where did you take her?
I'm going blank. I have no idea.
I feel like you're becoming emotional right now. I feel like you want to tell us.
No, if I knew what to tell you, I would tell you. If I had the truth, I would tell you. I don't know anything.
This is part of a problem. You did so many things and you never questioned it.
I didn't suspect him.
How can we believe some of the stuff that you're telling us, or believe that you don't know?
I don't know how to say it. I mean, I guess I'm stupid and gullible and very trustworthy, but I didn't think he'd be the type to do anything like this. I didn't doubt.
She's denying knowing anything about what's going on here. And law enforcement is very concerned about this because is she a willing participant? Is she allowing this to happen? Does she have knowledge of it? Brings me to my next question. She's denying it, so the question is, how does law enforcement determine if Jenn Soto is telling the truth? How do they figure out in their minds whether or not Jenn Soto is telling the truth? Because if she is telling the truth, in our system, she's a victim because her daughter is the victim. But if she's not telling the truth, she should be sitting next to Stephen Stearns. Joining me tonight, help work through all this, host of the Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, which is providing all this video for you tonight, folks. Gisela K is with us. Also joining us, former homicide detective Chris McDonough, also host of the Interview Room with Chris McDonough. All right, Chris, let me just start with you from the law enforcement perspective here. You've got the mother. You're questioning her. She hasn't asked for a lawyer. She continues to answer questions. She's denying here. How do you figure out whether she's telling the truth? What are the tactics that you're going to use in that interview room?
Well, a lot to unpack, Vinny, but right from the get-go, you're going to pick the type of room that will bring out the best responses. And in this particular case, they picked a soft interview room. You'll notice it's got the couch, the table, the two chairs for the detectives. And then the second thing you're going to pick up right away is when she comes into that room, where does she go? You'll notice she sits in between the couch. So that tells me there's a 50-50 chance here that she's going to be half and half almost through the entire interview. And then the next thing that you're going to pick up on is her, her obvious body positioning. Is she going to try to, tell you the story? And the investigators did a great job here of pushing her in the very beginning, for the body. And then, of course, it turned into this other conversation about the victimology in relationship to how much this child may have been suffering and if she had knowledge to it.
Gisela, as you watched all of this and really broke the story on all of this, how would you describe the way detectives were in that interview room?
I think they did a good job.
I would describe it as soothing to watch because they actually asked all the questions along. We've all been raging and questioning and wondering. The only thing that I would still ask if I had the chance to ask Jenn Soto is, tell us exactly why Stephen Stearns was there on Sunday night, because I don't believe her story for 1 second. So if you can uncover that truth, hopefully then it starts the rest, because she had 2 days off after that. She didn't go to the birthday party. She didn't do much for Madeline's birthday. But here is Stefan Stearns driving 2.5 hours to what? To help a 13-year-old get ready for bed? She doesn't need help getting ready for bed. She doesn't need help going to school because Jenn Soto had to get up at 9-ish anyway to go to a blood appointment. School starts at 9:28. So why was he there? That to me uncovers a lot because I think it's like, well, he wanted to be there. It was Maddie's birthday and he wanted to spend time with her, to snuggle and cuddle. And there, I would have grilled her on that. But the rest was so excellent. It was so nice to watch and see how they actually questioned her.
Chris, I want to show you another part of the interview here. Investigators with a very interesting question.
I think she was killed Sunday night into Monday morning. I'm thinking he carried her out of the house. I don't know how he didn't get caught by any of my roommates or no one heard. You're saying he drove all around town. I'm not sure where he could have gone. So him leaving early in the morning and driving around aimlessly somewhere. I feel like he stashed the body at that time. When he came back and then left again. But see, it's daytime. Like, how could you move a body or move something in daytime and not be seen? But like, I feel like he went back to check, to make sure he did a good job, or to move the body again. I don't know. But him leaving the house multiple times without his cell phone is sketchy as It's so suspicious.
First of all, the thing that bothers me here is you're referring to your daughter as the body. The body? No, that's Madeline. Chris, the question that was asked preceding the answer that we heard there was, if you had to guess what happened, what would you say? Why do investigators ask that type of question, and what are you looking for in the answer?
You know, Vinnie, the reason that question is asked is exactly for the answers that they got from her. The depersonalization in relationship to the victim. The idea of, you'll notice when she's first sitting there, it's almost mechanical in relationship to how she's responding. And in this particular view here, you'll see the investigators leaning into her, that he's waiting for her to respond in relationship to that body position. And she's just sitting there going, okay, you know, blah, blah, and it's almost mechanical. So you have, as an investigator, you got to sit back and you say to yourself, okay, how much of this could be rehearsed? And again, I go back to where she's still seated in this couch, because most of the time when somebody's telling the truth, they'll get so comfortable that they'll start to move towards a particular side of a large couch like this. And I haven't seen that yet from her, so I'm still 50-50 on this.
All right, Chris McDonough, the interview room. Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it. Still to come, why hasn't Jenn Soto been charged?
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes. Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof and you acted like it didn't exist.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Weight?
110 pounds.
110, 120.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Any other scars or anything like that? Which
Scars? No.
Tattoos?
You'd be
That was the first thing that got a lot of people upset. This is the night that Madeline Soto is missing, and they're responding, getting a description, and they're laughing and joking about the tattoo. How could you laugh or joke in that moment? It was very bizarre. And now we know where we are in all of this. Stephen Stearns under arrest, charged with the murder and the sexual abuse of Madeline. In the meantime, there's still a lot of focus on Jenn Soto, the mother. And there was focus in the interview room when they're talking to her, and at one point getting angry in the interview, trying to get to the truth. Let's watch.
I don't believe a lot of the things you're saying, and I don't believe a lot of the things you say you weren't aware of, and that is because you've now shown me twice that your first reaction, no matter what you were told or shown, missing and we're seizing a cell phone, or we're showing you pictures of her giving him a your first reaction is to protect Stephen. So now, murdered by Stephen, you're aware of this, you were shown pictures of this, you were shown pictures of her body in his car with a seatbelt on, right? We have played it out for you. But now you're in a stage where he's in jail, you know she's passed away, and now you can feel emotion, right? Until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy. You just said, I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say of his penis in her mouth, and your first reaction was, oh my, victimized? No. She's being abused? No. It's Stephen needs a lawyer. Who the cares if we think he killed her? He's.
I don't know why I said that.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Because right now, you know Stephen killed her. You know Stephen's been raping her. You know without her body, can he be charged with murder?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't know what we can do. Do I think we can charge him with murder? It's not up to me. Should he be charged with murder? Yes.
Please.
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes.
I know.
Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof and you acted like it didn't exist. And knowing the victimization, knowing how ongoing it is, knowing that you saw a picture of it, not just us telling you, not me and him saying, hey, listen, he's being, I think they had a bad relationship. They showed you a picture of it, and you still protected him.
The reaction of that detective is the reaction that the public has had in this case, in this investigation. And there's one question that always comes up anytime I'm talking about this story. Let's get to that, because that's my next question, which is, why hasn't Jenn Soto been charged? Everyone wants to know the answer to that. Still with me, host of Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, Gisela K. Also joining me, former prosecutor Nima Sadagian. Nima, let me begin with you. Why hasn't Jenn Soto been charged? The public is outraged. The people who watch Grizzly True Crime are outraged. Anytime I talk about this story, people are like, why hasn't the mother been charged?
Well, there's a lot to unpack here. There's, evidence on a Google Drive of sexual assault, sexual battery on a child under 12 since 2020. So there's many years of evidence to unravel. Prosecutors are likely going through this video and trying to find whether, Jenn Soto aided and abetted these crimes before the fact or after the fact with the murder. So there's a lot to take apart.
Let me ask you this, Nima, because she said this herself. She said, I was too trusting. If you're oblivious, if you turn a blind eye, is there anything she can be charged with? Like, maybe something's going on, but I don't want to know.
Well, that's a question of fact for the jury to find out if and when it goes to trial, is whether she actually knew. And, there's going to be a lot of evidence to impeach, her statements to the police, possibly, her version of events. And so we're going to find out more as prosecutors possibly bring charges.
Gisela, you've gone through so much of the evidence in this case, more than anyone else, outside of the people directly involved in the case. Have you seen or come across any evidence that would indicate that she had knowledge, actual knowledge, that this abuse had been going on?
Well, instructing them. She says they went upstairs, but she instructed them to go upstairs to the guest bedroom. No, says it all. I mean, saying that, and in an audio interview saying, I always told Stefan that I was really worried this would turn into a Woody Allen situation. And then when she turns 18, they would get married, and they can't do that to me. She said to me. That says it all, in my opinion.
That's huge. That's huge. Nima, I know you may need more in a courtroom, but to me that's a starting point, because the Woody Allen thing, we know what happened in the Woody Allen situation, and she seemed to have some level of knowledge of that. How do you uncover, what do you need to prove that she had some level of knowledge that this was going on?
Well, you know, there's a high standard of evidence for criminal charges. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And simply instructing someone, you know, your significant other, who's like a father figure to your daughter, to go to bed early is not necessarily in and of itself definitive proof that she aided and abetted in these crimes. But we need more, and there's more to unpack. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to see more in the days, weeks, months to come.
Let's take a look. Jenn Soto doing a denial in this interview.
I don't care about him. I want him to go to jail. I want the worst thing possible to happen to him in jail. I know what happens to predators in jail. Like, I'm ready for that. Like, please, I don't give a about him. I'm not protecting him.
Gisela, we have about 15 seconds. You believing her in that part where she's saying, listen, I don't care about this guy anymore?
Absolutely not. If you listen to all the interviews and look at all the videos, nope. Later she says, if I don't want to press charges now, can I change my mind later? And here's this, gets those silver bracelets. What if she has more children and this happens again?
Big thank you. Nima, say it again. Thank you. Gisela K, Grizzly True Crime. If you're not subscribed, you need to do it right after this show, folks. Thanks so much. All right. Most people look at this investigation and say, how could Jenn Soto not know what was happening to her daughter? Why would she ever put her daughter in a bed alone with a grown man who is not her father, and at some point, not really her full-time boyfriend? I mean, this whole situation absolutely stinks. But to charge Jenn Soto for something, they need to establish that she knew about the danger and the horrific abuse. And I guess that proof must not exist right now, but I got to think the investigation is ongoing. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.